Somebody apparently messaged Republican senators and told them like, hey, you guys are technically supposed to have like a little bit of power. And then they remembered like, yeah, I did get into this for power. I should probably do something to reclaim it. And they're barely doing that, but they're starting to push back, at least rhetorically, a little bit against Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who now is not only kind of co-president, but does all of the stuff that Congress used to do. We're gonna start with Senator Rand Paul, who said, I made the point that I've been making over and over again, that I love what Elon is doing. I love the cutting of the waste. I love finding all the crazy crap that we're spending overseas. But to make it real, to make it go beyond the moment of the day, it needs to come back in the form of a rescission package. This is a simple majority vote. First of all, point of order, it evidently doesn't need to come back in a rescission package because you guys aren't stopping them.
No.
If you want it to have to do that, then you need to actually act. Lindsey Graham says, you could do regulatory reform without us, but anything that doesn't fit within budget reconciliation has to be done through rescissions. Again, evidently it doesn't. It should. Lindsey Graham, you should be right, but so far you're not, so maybe push back a little harder. John Cornyn said much the same thing. Susan Collins said, every day is another surprise. She said that a methodical approach to reforming government would be better than what she's called Musk's sledgehammer approach. And several senators met with Trump's chief of staff. They apparently voiced a similar opinion as Collins. Rick Scott actually invited Musk to the lunch meeting to speak to GOP senators directly after several of them voiced their complaints about what they thought was a lack of transparency and accountability at DOGE. And there they phrased their concerns, and the way people phrased it was, when DOGE is being blamed for something, how can we verify whether it's true or not? It's a nice way of saying, if I want to complain, how can I do it? So overall, this is still so weak sauce. This is like a frozen dessert that hasn't set. It's like it's supposed to be something. On its surface, it looks like something, but if you nudge it, it's just gonna fall apart.
Every day is another surprise.
Every day, yeah, I agree with that. And here's a couple of things that maybe they should get involved in. DOGE is canceling the lease on our government's weather nerve center as tornado season begins. That's great, wonderful. Also, DOGE slapped a limit of $1 on government credit cards, and now workers say they can't do their jobs because here's the crazy thing. They need to use those to do their jobs, and most things, particularly lately, don't cost $1. And so this is another thing that's being done by people who have no idea how anything works, and they're gonna have to reverse it in the last day. They literally can't pay for gas to drive to their, like, not just to work, but like between, they do work in the field. Lab supplies, software subscriptions, work-related traffic. By the way, they're legally not allowed to use their personal cards, which means it's just not being done at all. Also, Social Security employees haven't been able to create UPS shipping labels because they cost more than $1.
Oh my God.
Again, chaos, crime, corruption. Have we woken up yet to how ridiculous this is? What do you think?
It's absurd. I mean, like, how can they how can they send checks out to anybody? What about like your tax return? Are you gonna get a tax return if you're owed any money from this government? Or can they not afford the stamp? Can they not afford to send it back to you? No, and look, here's what I will say about, because that's more dissent about DOGE than we've seen from Congress. Congress passed this budget that basically, yes, is gonna gut $880 billion from Medicaid. It's going to cut SNAP benefits to the tune of who knows how much. My analysis for why you're hearing more Republicans in the Senate speak out a little bit against DOGE is simply because they're old. And a lot of them are not going to be seeking re-election. They won't need to seek re-election coming up. Yes, it is. And to me, that's the reason Mitch McConnell was able to like not vote for Tulsi Gabbard in the confirmation. They are not afraid of Elon's money, and so they can actually stick their neck out a little bit. I mean, they have no soul, but like whatever is left, right? It's like, and so to me, I'm seeing the older folks, Rand Paul's a little bit younger, but like Susan Collins is older, you know what I mean? Like Lindsey Graham is older. These people are not worried for their seats in terms of being primaried. And I think they're just like, let me just have something to say. And I don't think that the budget, we'll see if the budget passes the Senate, but this gives me more hope that perhaps it won't.
Maybe, yeah, I think you're right. The age is definitely a factor. I also think Musk is already wildly unpopular and likely to become even less popular. Democrats are going to, for better or worse, and I think it'll probably be for better, they're going to run on anti-Elon Musk. And I think that that'll be pretty effective. And so these senators don't want to be closely affiliated with Elon Musk, understandably so. Anyway, yeah.
And they're also saying, like, they're basically warning they're not going to pass the budget. They're like, you have to do it through rescission. You have to do other bills, other legislation, not just one big reconciliation package that was passed by the House. So we'll see.
Yeah, by the way, I also just want to mention, because the producer put together some awesome notes on this, that headquarters, the nerve center that they're gonna be shutting down, it's filled with supercomputers that drive the models that meteorologists around the country use for weather. And please, by the way, if you have 15, 20 minutes, go watch the John Oliver episode from like 1, 2, 3 years ago, where he talked about the push to privatize the weather service and how terrible and much more expensive that's gonna be. This facility costs on average for each taxpayer $3 a year for us to have a weather service.
Seriously.
Do you think that the private company that replaces this is gonna cost you less than $3 a year?
Oh my God, that's so terrifying. It's so terrifying to know that, yes, that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna try and sell us on, well, did you have the weather app? It's gonna cost $29 a month, but you could find out whether you're gonna die.
Yeah. This is just dismantling and selling off the parts of our government. That's literally all it is, and it only benefits the wealthiest people in the country.
It's turning the government into a subscription service,
which everybody loves and wants more of, I think. And it'll probably come with ads anyway.